My people were biologically determined for one purpose alone, to sense the coming of damn fine podcasts. I sense it coming now.
All right. Hey, and welcome to a Discovery Home Companion. Your home for companionship when it regards Discovery. That's why we want to hear from you. Mm-hmm. Give us your calls. But that's what we're doing today. We're listening to your voices. With me is James Nolan.
Hey, guys.
And Hugh Crawford.
Good evening.
Yes, and
or good morning.
Or morning.
Or good afternoon, depending on when you're listening to this.
I'm as an illusion. My name is Wade Bowen, and yep, we're doing our voicemail stuff here again, and we have James back with us.
From
sunny California, no longer.
I've no longer been fired. I've been rehired. I just showed up.
Served as one show suspension. Yes.
Yeah. You served your time, and
I did the Seinfeld thing where I just showed up on the podcast last week, and nobody had the balls to say anything. All right. And I think there's a lot going on. With this episode, conversationally, right?
Oh, with Choose Your Pain. We have that one podcast about it, but do you have new thoughts? We sat with it for a week. There's something you like it even less, don't you? Of course you do. Let's yell about it.
No, it's not. Now I'm ponderous about the ways it's not working. Now I'm
yeah.
But your position is still that it's not working.
I mean, I've had I sat with it weird too. Like, well, I guess we can get into it with the calls, but like, I thought the episode was one of the most enjoyable and most Star Trek so far, but it also showed more of the cracks, which make me, it's also made me more nervous for where the show is going.
I'm like Don Draper in the elevator. I haven't thought about it at all. All right. So we got a voicemail about it though.
Oh yeah. We got a couple. Yeah. We'll start off here with one from Stefan.
Awesome.
Yeah. Who actually sent us one thing like pretty soon after watching Choose Your Pain and sent us a voicemail. Sorry to out you here, Stefan. And then he sat with it for a little while and he emailed us back and say, hey guys, please don't use that. And like, okay, fine. Yeah.
Early thoughts on this. This is something that we're dealing with too. Is that like if we had just a little bit more time, we would have got the Laurel stuff right.
Oh yeah.
But we hopped on that podcast like 20 minutes after I stopped watching it.
Yeah.
But like if I'd had 24 hours to sit on it, then that shit would have come to light. That
Right. Well, that's part of what I was talking about where like I liked it, but this is where the cracks are starting. We're not the only people that watched that episode and didn't put it together that Laurel was the captain of the Klingon ship.
No. And Jordan Hoffman, the Mr. Star Trek podcast, Jordan Hoffman got it equally wrong. And I thought it was, but then I thought it couldn't be because then that's so obvious.
Right. And she said, well, she's the captain of the ship and it's only been 3 weeks. I mean, if we were people that watched that After Trek show, I guess we would have known that.
Well,
because like she's just on that show saying, yeah, I was Laurel on this.
Yeah. And I also think, do you think that they were trying to make it a little bit complicated and then the actress was just so like not like she was like wanting credit.
I have no idea what they're trying to do.
I don't think so. I think if they were trying to, they would have made it very heavy-handed and obvious, I think, if they were trying to.
No, I'm saying that maybe they're trying to obscure it. Maybe they filmed it with Laurel, and then they got there and they said, this is weird, and then they tried all this lighting shit to make it less obvious.
I think the makeup is different, maybe. Like she's got I don't know.
But she didn't act like it was. She was like, no, that's me, bitches. I got my face burnt. Like,
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, no, I'm just talking about the makeup effects from this episode to the last one.
Yeah.
It's obviously the same person under the makeup, but like the way they shot it, maybe it's the director's fault for how he shot her in this episode. Like when I was like, no, that's not Laurel. She's got so much more chin and jowls. And I think it's just the makeup didn't fit the same way when they shot it or something. But
yeah, it's weird. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah. But Oh, wait a minute.
But back to Stefan.
Back to Stefan. Yeah, let's go ahead and play this.
Wait, we're playing the one he didn't want, right? Or the one that he wanted?
No, we're not dicks. He said, "Hey guys, please don't play that."
Okay,
it's like we're not. Like, look, man. There's plenty of stuff that I haven't played on air because I don't want to come off awful. And imagine how awful it must be if you think I've come off awful before.
Yeah, basically, you can listen to it if you want to know if I've edited a podcast. Listen to it and say, "Does James horribly mispronounce anything?" If he does it's because it was edited by James.
Yeah, I have actually gone in and I'm going to redub this myself because once or twice.
Oh, wow.
Because either I said something awfully racist or sexist. I don't know. I don't think that's, or else it's I sound like a fucking idiot. Let me go ahead and.
Yeah, that's a lot of,
Paging Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman. Sorry. That's I will make that reference from Pee-wee's Big Adventure all the time.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. You have a call at the front desk. Oh yeah, the call from Stefan. Here we go. Let's listen to it.
Hello guys, this is Stefan from the Netherlands calling about Choose Your Pain, which to me was one of the worst 45 minutes of Star Trek I've ever seen. I could go on a rant for about 12 minutes about everything that I disliked, but I'll try and stick to my main point. I don't like that the Klingons have basically been rebranded from a warrior race with a strict code of honor to being essentially ISIS in space. If you're gonna have Starfleet fight an alien race like that, make up a new one rather than fundamentally change the nature of one of the most well-developed alien races in the history of Star Trek. So Choose Your Pain is Lorca captured by space ISIS, and we learn that captured Starfleet officers are either killed by being violently kicked in the head or being used as sex slaves, so essentially raped. It's a very nasty and violent episode in which Michael Burnham once again disobeys a direct order from her superior officer because she thinks she's right. And now we see Stamets doing the exact same thing, making them essentially the Chelsea Manning and Edward Snowden of Starfleet. Everybody shouts at each other in this episode and no one listens, none till the very end, and then the tardigrade gets released for some reason. So I hated this episode. It's called Star Trek, it looks like Star Trek. It mentions Robert April, Captain Archer, Captain Pike, but the characters don't act like Starfleet officers or professional and dedicated scientists. And the Klingons don't act like Klingons. I hope this was a misfire. And I hope the show will be better than this, a lot better. And I also hated that this is the first episode where we see a gay couple interacting with each other, and it's in this piece of shit. Oh, anyway, that was it.
Yeah, I think that we've made progress in one area, but unfortunately, it's in a lackluster episode.
Yeah.
I think here his complaints.
I think he's a little rough. Like his complaints, every Star Trek they've disobeyed orders. Okay, but she doesn't even disobey orders when push comes to shove, she does obey them. She pushes against the orders. Sure.
This is a point that someone made on Discourse, and I think it actually was Stefan, but I may be wrong about that if it was JR or someone else. Someone made a point that, yes, lots of people disobey orders, but they're always at the captain level. Like, you don't have disharmony on the ship, except for, I guess, Rolaren? Is that right?
Right.
And then that was one with...
That's correct.
And then the one with Wesley. But, like, so it's not like it's unheard of, but it's also, like, I don't know.
Right. Well, you have people saying, doing the level of pushing against the captain that I'd say that Michael Burnham does in this one. She's like, oh, I don't want to do this. We're killing the tardigrade. And he's like, look, I don't care. Go do your job over there. Make sure we can jump. And then she comes in again and gets people on her side to say, hey, we should stop doing this. And Saru is like, what did I'm the captain. Fuck y'all. I know I was first officer, but now that he's gone, I'm the captain. So you got to do what I say. Do it. And they're like, okay. And then they do it.
Yeah. I have this. Okay. So I think that I'm starting to get a little forensic about this, or like a little bit like doing an autopsy on the show, even though it's still going on. I think that the foundational error of the show is that they wasted time on They wasted a lot of time on stuff that don't really mean a lot to what we're watching. In that 2-parter with Michelle Yeoh.
That could have been... that's either a bug or a feature. That's you have to be.
I think it's too many cooks, honestly.
But what it cost us is that we all watched episode 3, and it's a new show,
right?
But that new show was based on a rescue mission, and then the next episode's based on a rescue mission, and then the next episode's based on a rescue mission. And guess what? I saw on the next week's trailer, it's a rescue mission. At no point has there ever been a status quo
established
for not just the ship, but for the show.
Right.
But for the show, like it occurred to me, and I made a thing on it in Discord, and I know it sounds like a petty thing, but it made a thing to me that the doctor that we meet isn't this CMO. Like, we actually haven't met the head, doctor on the show. We haven't met...
Well, you know my theory about that already.
You think it's Bones? Or do you think it's the old guy from
the Cage?
From the Cage.
No, he's on the Enterprise right now, that guy.
That's true.
Cage.
That guy is on the Enterprise right now.
Yeah,
I think that they could do something cute with... like a Grand Moff Tarkin or whatever the guy is from Rogue One, and Bones. I think that I would not put it past them.
But you'd think it would be Bones. It wouldn't be,
it would be Bones being like, it could be Bones, and he could say, "This is bullshit. I'm going to put in for a transfer" or something like that. I'm a doctor. I'm not a warrior. I'm not gonna do this Lorca bullshit.
They've come out and said that Kirk.
I think they said there weren't going to be any original, but they could. Who knows?
I don't know.
But I think they do.
But nobody's looking for Bones. People are not looking for that. So that's why I think that they could do something sly.
So all of these things are like, every time they do a thing, it's like, why is this show so dark and has them doing all this shit when you have this hellbent captain, but it's the captain. So we've never had to see the status quo established.
Right. Well,
so when Wesley disobeyed Picard, there was 6-7 seasons of status quo amongst them, so that it was an epic thing and it was important.
Right.
Like this, she's just obeying orders all the fucking time.
Well, like I said, she doesn't necessarily disobey the orders in this one, and.
If I was Saru, I would have felt that I've managed people. If I was Saru, I would have felt like that she went behind my back.
Oh,
to double cross me.
Saru obviously feels the same way, and he gets pissed off about it.
But he's the captain, and she defied his orders.
Well, and then he throws a kind of a fit about it, and then he tells her to get the fuck to her quarters, and she does.
But my kids generally accept the punishment I give them for not listening to me. I
don't know. I mean, this is this is the least part of the the cracks have started to appear to me, but this is the least part.
No, this is that. This is
my problem.
This is a Starfleet. This is a Starfleet that no one listens to each other, or that they do, but it's like a plot point. There's no. I don't know what the status quo of this fucking show is.
Well, I agree with you on that, but this episode is the one where they finally start listening to each other and stop fighting. That's what I disagree with. That
right. They are getting along as a unit a tad more, but not that much more. Yeah. I think the status, actually, we did get to see a little bit of the status quo, like a hair of it. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's when they were running those drills. You get the impression that when they're not actually in a battle, they're relentlessly preparing for battle, because this is fundamentally a different show than what we're used to seeing, an exploratory show or a political show. But this is one about war.
We're used to seeing one
where the characters on the bridge and the characters on the bridge crew are the main characters.
Right, where the bridge crew, they're all background. And you know what? Man.
Cool as hell looking background players, though.
I wish we had the show about the bridge crew, because they seem so much more interesting. Well, you've got Dreamy McHandsome, but whatever, fuck that guy. Mm-hmm. Then you have the Joan, what's her name? The black woman on there, she looks awesome.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, those are the people. Oh man, yeah, this bridge crew looks like they got their shit together, and they're learning to work as a cohesive group. But then you have Burnham running around in engineering without a even title, just fucking shit up.
Yeah,
as far as the Klingon stuff goes, it really doesn't bother me that much because it takes place during a different time and place.
Agreed.
If you went, I mean, Americans over the span of 200 years, you know, if you go back 100 years from now, Americans,
wildly different.
we're different than what, cultures change, and having them be space ISIS right now or religious zealots right now. And I actually don't get the fact that they're all religious zealots. I think some of them are definitely opportunists, as we saw whenever Homeboy marooned that other guy. You know, that seemed like a pretty Klingon.
I'm a little. I'm a little out to sea with the Klingons. I don't know what the fuck I'm watching. They spend all of this.
I'm a little bit out to sea with the Klingons. I can see how you could be like that. It's so interesting how divisive the show is. Like Stefan
hates it.
His points are valid. Like I don't think that he's wrong for feeling that way or anything, but I don't feel that way. It's so interesting to how divisive it is. It's definitely the most divisive Star Trek show I can ever remember. Because here's the thing with Star Trek. Then you've got the original series, and you've got fans of the original series. Then Picard came around, and there were some people who got on board with Picard, and some people who were left behind. Then you had some people who were on board with Picard and Kirk, but, Deep Space Nine, they didn't go anywhere. There's no exploration. So they got off board. Some people got off board. People are always picking and choosing when they're going to get on board with Star Trek and when they're not going to be on board with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Wade's a good example. I mean, he's got a podcast about Star Trek, and he hasn't even the interest for Enterprise hasn't been there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was available. It's not. So it's like this is different because it's either you love it or you hate it.
See,
there's not a whole lot of in between.
I think I'm in between right now because I don't mind because it just feels uneven. It feels like they're treading water because they've had too many cooks.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, James, every episode has been a rescue episode. It feels
and they have to feel like they're being cunning because of how they set the whole thing up.
Yeah,
the first two episodes, I'm telling you what, man, they did a bait and switch on us.
Well, and
it's for the benefit of their streaming service.
I think it's because they had all these episodes they had to make. They had Brian Fuller already due to, and then they fired him, and then they're just like, well, shit, we're not going to throw out all the work we did there, but what are we going to do now? I don't know, because now this episode, Choose Your Pain, Brian Fuller did not write the story for.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I don't think Brian Fuller ever intended to kill Giorgio off, because as much as he talked about what he loved about the show, and you see things like as cryptic as he is, because I'm sure he's under NDAs and he doesn't want to shit on anybody's party. He's like, oh, well,
you don't want to burn bridges.
Right. And he said when the first two aired, he was like, well, I do love that they have two women of color as the stars of the show. That was like the big thing that I wanted. And
he got it for 5 minutes. But
and and that was his main drive. And I feel like, I don't know if they really, and then it kind of changes. And now, and like initially, if we're going to get into the Ash Tyler, is he?
Well, that's the thing we're going to get into.
Right.
But like, that's taking that for granted or not for granted. It's still like what they're doing with nothing that we've seen from the Klingons has necessitated all of the story that we saw in the prequel. Or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the other. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like Shazad Latif or whatever his name was, he was supposed to be called. He was a Klingon all along, and the way they changed it, like that was all.
Yeah.
Feels like stuff they changed after they had already had a plot, and then they decided to change it, probably because of producer meddling, is my guess, because I am not giving any benefit of the doubt to Akiva Goldsman or Alex Kurtzman.
And then I think that we're left with them trying to market the show currently as isn't Jason Isaacs badass? And I'm worried that that's working, I guess, so that the show becomes like I don't want it to be a Sons of Anarchy in space. I don't want it to be like this show with just the.
I think they'll move the focus a little bit back to Michael Burnham. I want to think, but
yeah, I
think you made this point before. This the show is lacking a authorial voice.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of...
most definitely.
It's got a lot of like, ooh, whiz bang, look how cool it looks, which is... But not like a vision.
Yeah.
They will tell you that it's all what it's about, and it's about growing towards what this Federation utopia and hopefulness and everything. And I'm sure that they see that, but it doesn't feel like... I don't feel like Gretchen Berg and Aaron Harberts really love Star Trek. I feel like they love being... that they got the chance to be the showrunners for this, but... It doesn't feel personal for them like it did for Brian Fuller.
That's the thing. Like, I mean, think about it. You got to put yourself in a position where you're an up and coming in Hollywood and you've done a couple of things. And what's something I don't give a fuck about? Law and Order. Someone hands me Law and Order, their new hot, slick Law and Order show, and they want me to be true, or maybe Doctor Who would be a better example. And then they're like, James, we really want you to do Doctor Who. And the first thing I'm going to say is I've watched like 2 seasons of this shit. I don't have like a strong attachment to Doctor Who. And they're like, well, don't tell anybody else.
Right. Like, we got writers on board that are like in the room that love that shit.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you're covered. You're covered. No, we'll take care of you. You don't have to worry about that. We just want good shows. And I would definitely say yes. And then when I went to my first interview, I would definitely say I love Doctor Who.
Right.
I don't hold it against these people I don't think they're liars.
Oh, me neither. Yeah. I think they're
like, I just think
people.
that they're not.
I think,
and it's also not even. I don't even think that. Like, I don't even know. Like, I think the problem is that I'm always arguing that the show is somehow like going against what Star Trek is about, but I don't want to be a theme gatekeeper either. Like, the show needed some shaking up. I liked the idea of modernizing the show.
Yeah. We loved serialized Star Trek.
Yeah, not just like, but like, this is a mess. Outside of like, not like real Star Trek, it's a mess. Plus, it's not like real Star Trek.
Right.
So you don't even get that. Like, they say fuck and it's shitty. Like, you know, like you can do one or the other. It can either be.
I'll give them a pass. Well, I don't like the fuck, but it's not like.
No, I'm not
nerd raging about it.
Well, it was too self-aware.
That and what I got to be honest, it didn't offend me at all. I thought it was goofy. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was really
goofy.
self-aware. But it has been I think this is a legit backlash. There's been a lot of people that really hate it. And I don't think they're the Trump people. Like, I think they wanted to have a Star Trek you can watch with your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
the David Cronenberg stuff. Cut that out quick. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I mean, my kids aren't into the shit, and I'm not into making them watch shit. But like, some parents are, and some parents successfully do that. And
I don't know how that happens.
Yeah, I don't either. But like, it does. I'm convinced enough that it does. And I say fuck around my kids all the time. But like, real good parents don't. And so, yeah, I think that is a problem. And there's times when Deep Space Nine was dark, but it wasn't ever like. It wasn't like The Deuce, like, and this isn't either,
right?
But like, but you have to ask the question: if they can say fuck a lot, if push comes to shove and they need some people to go on the app, why don't they just whip out them titties? I mean, that's next, right?
They've said.
Oh, I read it. Do you want me to? I can post that article, or they said that they're not going to whip out them titties.
Okay.
The producers already addressed that this week.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone said, so that was the next question.
Yeah.
Are you going to whip out them titties now that you've said fuck in Star Trek?
No, that's
right.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're angling they're marketing the show to people who think that would be cool.
No,
we will see Klingon penis, though. We'll see how many riches are going on down there.
There's going to be some Klingon hanging brain, but
some
but just the balls, like, no, yeah.
Lots of ribbing and like bone work, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, we know that Ash Tyler is being taken advantage of, or is he?
Okay, so is Lane's call on this subject?
Oh, yeah, we do have another call, I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had foreknowledge of this.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's about this or not. Well, we had Stefan's point of view of how much he is not on board for the show so far.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy, but okay.
Yeah, Lane's following up on some of the predictions that he made in the last episode. Now that he's going to talk some more about that since we saw Yeah. All right.
Hey, it's Lane again. Just following up somewhat on my past predictions, but also to say, hey, I liked the last episode. I thought it was the best one yet as far as seeming more like a Star Trek show, at least in little things like, hey, the production design for the Klingon holding cells actually looked like the same kind of production design you might have seen in prior Klingon versions. So that was an improvement. Instead of looking like they're got a ship like the TARDIS, it looked like, hey, that's kind of in line with past Klingon architecture and design.
True.
So, hey, they're getting better. And I totally did not catch that was a completely different Klingon lady. They really need to work on their differentiation of females. Although I am kind of excited to have a, badass scarred villain to show up repeatedly. That's good, right? And, also, as far as predictions on potential, and this is probably not the way it'll work, but I'm sure really annoy the hell out of some of you guys. But I think it would be cool and great. As far as that tribble going off, here's the thing. Maybe it'll go off and just identify him as a Klingon. However, they've already introduced the augment virus in Enterprise, and they kind of teased it in that, well, you haven't gotten that far in DS9, but we know Lorca likes to weaponize things, and this is if he weaponizes tribbles, use them as a pathogen to spread the augment virus, and thereby potentially do some explanation of the differences between Klingons between series. If they did that, I would actually really like it, because then you could argue, hey, why do we have to make Klingons look so weird and different for the beginning of Discovery? Well, because you want to make sure that you can change them so they get closer to the original, our past ideas of Klingons by the end of the series. They probably won't do that, I'm sure, but actually I would like that. I think it would be neat. But anyway, so maybe something with that Klingon, it will actually be augment virus into human, and it's not just surgical, so it's not going to show up when the doctor inspects them, for example. And from there, we got a tribble that you could, infect with Klingon ships with, spread the virus, and there you go. You get your peace treaty because they all got turned slightly more human. Just in time for original series to pick up. Anyway, just an idea. Bye.
Yeah, see? Not everybody hates this episode. I liked it, even if it brought more concerns.
Yeah.
I like his idea of weaponizing the augment virus.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of cool.
I mean, it does create... I mean, it cleans up a lot of things, but it also creates the problem of the way that the Klingons are represented in Enterprise are...
cured.
Basically exactly the way they look in TNG on.
Right.
So, it does... So, I like his idea that you go to two extremes, and then, the TNG on Klingons are like a happy middle.
Right.
But they messed that up by...
And then they fuck over Enterprise.
Yeah, but nobody... That's the least... I mean, I get the feeling that everybody thinks that fucking over Enterprise canon is the least crime.
Right.
And I sure. I don't disagree with you.
And, and the way that the Klingons, the Tribbles in Trouble with Tribbles are the Klingons are oh, they're our greatest enemy or whatever. And if maybe this series is why the Klingons are so afraid of Tribbles as opposed to they've always been afraid of Tribbles.
Yeah, they've always been.
Maybe that's what they're...
Yeah, I guess... Yeah, I don't know. It does wipe out... Tiny Lister plays the Klingon in the first in Enterprise, and I don't want to wipe out his character. I like that actor, and I like him playing a Klingon. So, but, I don't know. So I thought the call was going to... Well, first off, he makes the same mistake we did in the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
About assuming that L'Rell is different.
Yeah.
I did, and his assumptions were... his first assumptions were right.
Right. And then we fucked him up.
His re-assumptions were wrong, yeah.
Can we cut Tiny Lister into the trailer for Friday? His Enterprise character into the trailer for Friday? Because I think if Ice Cube and Chris Tucker were reacting to Tiny Lister as a Klingon, it would be more of a visceral experience.
Yes. Yeah, so I forget, I'm sitting here looking at his IMDb, I forget that he's in that scene on the boats in Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah. where he's the prisoner.
I forgot he's in he's the main prisoner.
Yeah, who's actually the good guy. Oh,
twist. Spoilers for Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan was up late reading some O. Henry stories or some shit like that with me.
Vok. Let's talk about Vok. Like, it's too clear now, right? Like, there's been like 1,000 articles, about it now.
Yeah, all these articles like, oh, here's a theory that you might not have picked up on, but it might be true. It's like, yeah, no shit, it's obviously true. I don't know, like, it's so like,
so like he got caught, and it just like everything. It started on Reddit, and I shared this on Reddit. It was like the original actor.
Yeah,
it looks like that the guy playing Ash also was the actor playing Vok, and it looks that way, like hardcore.
Right? Did they think that they were gonna slide this? Like, do they know who they're dealing with? Right? Like the proto nerd that picks up on every little detail is the Star Trek Trekkie.
Yeah, the Reddit may not have caught the Tsarnaev brothers, but they caught everybody. Like they're pretty good at catching the dumb shit.
Yeah, like,
and this was like the dumb shit.
Like, just watching that episode, it's painfully obvious. I think. I mean, I don't want to call anybody dumb for not catching it, but yeah, that's
it's got internal logic. It's got internal logic flaws, especially if you clearly make that L'Rell. Then L'Rell's only been on the ship for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
If you that's just pure continuity,
right?
So
and, having the previously on, and then him saying that he's been the captain's taken a liking to me, and he's been there for 7 months. Mm-hmm. Like, well,
exactly.
The captain's only been there. Maybe the captain took a liking to him 3 weeks ago. That's possible, I guess, but.
Yeah, but like making it clearly L'Rell is.
But then
like,
he says that's how he survived that long, is that the captain took a liking to him, not that.
So then he's lying. Yes. So now he's lying. So you have a guy who's clearly lying and duplicitous. So here's the thing.
Oh, and
they either make that clear. Do we think they make that clear? This week or next week?
They need to, but I feel like they're going to drag their feet about it, like. Because they think we're dumb. They think we're all idiots is what I'm afraid of. And they're thinking like, well, we have to, if we're going to do this, we have to lay these big hints or else they won't figure it out and they'll be mad at us. So
no, because the preview shows Michael Burnham's having a fit over Ash Tyler.
Yeah,
so
but it turns
I
out
imagine she'll act like the surrogate for the audience and they'll turn the cards over with Ash Tyler as she turns him over.
The flip to that is that she's actually freaking out because of a mind vision from Sarah getting stabbed or something. But the fact that it happens while she's shaking Ash Tyler's hand is supposed to be, I'm pretty sure, a pretty big, where the audience thinks like she's figured it out because we have.
Right.
But it's a bait and switch for actually it's about her about Sarah instead of.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see, won't we?
So here's the thing. So if they make it clear that he's Vok next week and that it's like we know something that the main characters don't,
right?
At least that's something. I'm not like
that's okay. Yeah,
that doesn't turn my toes. But
that's like, been fine with me because I think I was texting to y'all like, yeah, it's just. I mean, I don't know. It's like basic Hitchcock.
Yeah,
like where he's like, if you have a bomb under the table. You can show the audience that there's a bomb under the table and that's how you create suspense.
Yeah.
But, and his whole thing is like, you can't have the bomb go off because then you just piss off your audience. But also you have to make it clear that the audience knows the bomb is there. You can't half-ass it. And if we all know the bomb is there, don't drag it out for 10 more episodes.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's the big fear though, is that they might do that. And oh my God, like that's going to.
It's going to be Westworld.
That's going to be the mind killer.
It's going to be West Wing all over again.
West, it'll be
West Wing.
Yeah, and I guess we should clarify for people who don't watch Westworld and don't give a fuck. Like, there was a big reveal about the way they were doing their timeline on the show.
Yeah, we don't even have to spoil it for them. There's a big mystery that they thought they were clever about.
Yeah,
but we figured it out.
I figured it out in the first episode because I'm like, why is this show shitty? It's on purpose.
Yeah.
Hugh did come up, and then it's like snowballed, and then it was like by the end, everybody was thinking it, and also there was another reveal about about that Jeffrey Wright was a robot.
Yes. Oh, that was one of the easiest ones
right.
too.
Well, I will give Westworld credit. Like, as painfully obvious as it was to us, I had good friends that didn't catch up on it because the show didn't make it painfully obvious to them. And I told them, like, obviously that it's timeline shenanigans. And they're like, no, I don't think so. And then it got to the last episode. And they're like, oh my God, I was so surprised. I was like, I told you like 8 weeks ago what this was.
Maybe that's the Ash Tyler Bach person.
Oh, and it'll happen again for this. I guarantee it. Yeah. Because there's still people.
Do people want to? Okay.
There's some people.
So this goes on. Like
we'll
probably have people on the server, Reddit servers, or on the servers and on Reddit saying, I don't think Ash is vodka, guys.
Right.
I don't think that. And then they'll have elaborate things, and then it will be because people want to be surprised.
Right. And I fall into this a lot where I want to enjoy it, and I can enjoy it, but then when you start bringing up issues with it, I will jump through a lot of hoops to rationalize my enjoyment of it because fuck you, let me just enjoy it, okay?
Yeah, I agree. And what we're doing when having a podcast is like where we take it apart is inherently, a problem. So
sure.
I mean, you're going to be nitpicking people's darlings, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as we go through, like, I'm still on board for the show, but it's getting harder for me. Yeah. I'll still disagree vehemently with some of your, this is why it's awful. Like, it's not awful, but
sure. What is the biggest problem with that is that it's just that it's like the things are just, to me, the show just felt wrong. And then it's also like a plotting sloppy mess too.
Yeah.
So if the show corrected itself and was as good as Westworld, which is kind of faint praise because I didn't love the show. But like, I think that like with Westworld, I look at that show as I like the aesthetics of that show a lot.
Right,
and just the plot was a fucking mess. This was like both like, and then I was worried that I would like after the first episode and maybe even the second episode, if I felt that they had righted the ship, then, or third episode, I thought that this was a show where I just hate all of the aesthetics, but it might be a pretty good plot.
Right. And
now it's not looking like that's developing.
It seems like they could still write it maybe. And even if this first season isn't great, I'm still on board. I would hope that they could get season 2, which is probably going to happen.
Yeah, it looks like CBS All Access's biggest draw.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen,
and it's gonna be. And when that, by the way, that season 2, if that happens, then Akiva Goldsman just gets recertified. I think as the head honcho.
That's gonna kill me. That's gonna be hard for me.
I mean,
because I mean,
he's out there. He is the voice of the show right now in the press. Not these showrunners that we were talking about that worked with Brian Fuller. He's the voice of the show.
Yeah, they trot Gretchen and Aaron out too, to an extent, but they do trot Akiva out a lot because I think Akiva's more comfortable doing it too. Like Aaron Harbert looks uncomfortable every press thing I see him with, but.
Oh yeah, Mr. We Are Our Own Timeline.
No, that was Akiva. Yeah, fuck. Oh man,
that was Akiva Goldsman.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a third timeline.
We have a third Star Trek timeline, which makes me just why are you doing Star Trek? Why are you doing Star Trek?
I think
I'm not and I know why, and that's the problem with it, is that this is Galaxy Fight. We use that as a term. This is Galaxy Fight, like branded, familiar brand edition.
Yeah.
The only reason this is Star Trek is because we know Star Trek.
If he gets enough backlash,
and we wouldn't be having this podcast, and we wouldn't give a fuck about this show if it wasn't called Star Trek.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why it's Star Trek because they want any media company going forward has to have a viable streaming service if it's going to survive.
And the only way you can do that is with a pre-existing brand.
Right. And they had one that was 50 years old, built like the massive built-in audience.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of leeway because there's a good portion of this audience that they're just going to love anything that's branded Star Trek, no matter how deeply flawed or boring it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I guarantee, like, if he ever he's not getting pushback on this third timeline thing because it's like a minor comment he made for Comic-Con. Once people start bitching about it, he'll double back and say, that's not what I meant. It's still in the prime timeline. I guarantee it. But it's like that article you posted where he said that bullshit. They didn't get enough press for him to backtrack on it.
They won't when they kill Sarek next week.
They won't kill him. Because they also said that, like, oh yeah, well, if we last long enough to get to the original series, we'll make it fit.
They did say that.
Yeah.
In like the same article.
Yeah, exactly.
So then what's the point? Then why say third timeline?
Dude.
Yeah,
because you're sick of answering these questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you're just throwing shit out there to see what sticks to the wall.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's because you're just bad at press.
Yeah. I
think that they want to break stuff. And I think that they want to have Michael Berman isolated, so to kill another mentor.
They want to do whatever they want to do, and they don't want to have to worry about it.
Yeah.
They want to break stuff, but they're not trying to break stuff. They're just trying to do what they're doing. And then when
like Michael Scott, they said I want all of the praise and none of the criticism.
Right. And when they get it, they'll like backtrack and whatever. Well, at least we're not yelling at each other in this episode. We're
Oh, no, we're not. And I think that, like, I do think I'm not ready to disengage in this show because now it's like I'm fascinated with it in a different way.
Yeah.
I got my green gloves on. I'm like sifting through, and I feel like that this show is interesting now on a different level.
Right.
And I'm ready. And Jason Isaac's still probably pretty fucking good. And there's still episodes. This could get good. Like that's
Yeah, we are picking over its bones pretty good though. Pretty well. Pretty well picked. All right. Well, this has been voicemail segment, hasn't it?
It has. I think we've got enough to go to press for this. So we don't have any. We're not going to do any more voicemails tonight. I think we've talked enough. So that's what we got for our voicemails this week. Do you want to let us know what you think about the show and about Discovery? Please let us know. We want to hear from you so very much. This is why we do it. Give us a call at 917-408-3898. Send us an email at rulesofacquisitionpodcast@gmail.com. That's an email address for our other show that we do, The Rules of Acquisition, where we go through Star Trek Deep Space Nine. You can call about that too, but that's not what this show is about. So that's our thoughts on Discovery. Check out the Patreon for the show and all the shows that we do at patreon.com/kickersofelves. Anything else to add?
It's the best. We're a lifestyle. We're a lifestyle company. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we've got a Discord server that all of our patrons, even at $1, you can join our server, and we've got a lot of discussion about all things Trek, all the shows going on with the Friends of Cisco are very active on there. So come on down. Just $1 a month will get you in the door and talking a lot of good conversation. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, all right. Well, thanks again for joining us. We hope you join us next week. 3 to beam out.
Subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher or Caster or Fuckcast or Podsucker. Review us on iTunes. Also grab a bit of fame for yourself by calling us at 917-408-3898 and leaving us a message. We play that shit on air. Or email us at rulesofacquisitionpodcast@gmail.com. Also, listen to our Deep Space Nine podcast Rules of Acquisition. It is pretty amazing, but you may not yet be ready for its awesome amazingness. Assess your personal awesomeness appropriately.